I've got statistics that show how really safe football is to play. I can get into the geek world with you, and I can go down that road. But in football, when somebody gets knocked down, they got a decision to make, and it's so applicable to life. Are you going to stay down and cry, or are you going to get up and fight?
Yeah, I want to say something, Jeff. Is I grew up the son of a football coach. My father was a youth football coach. I played youth football. I saw the benefits of it. I know I became a not just a results oriented individual because of youth football, but a self driven individual. Right? I sit here. Everybody around this whole world knows me as Rico knows on TikTok. But for over 20 years, I was a leader in the military. And I retired as a senior leader in the enlisted army. I was a first sergeant. And when I retired, I thought back of all the times I succeeded in my career, and it had to do with resiliency and being self driven, pushing myself when no one else would, and those hard workouts, those extra hours in the classroom or whatever I was doing, right? And I go back to when you sign up for football and you learn what it is to push yourself beyond your own expectations. I can remember being a coach, talking to my players, and one day I told them, I need you to give me 110%. And one of the players, they're pretty smart. He says, what do you mean by that, coach? 110%. I said, I want you to give me 100% of what you got and that extra 10% you never knew you had. And I can remember I walked away from the field that day and I thought, man, that's essentially what this football brings out of you, right? You have to get up over and over. And when you think you're going to quit, you don't. You just keep pushing. You think you can't go anymore, you still get to practice. You still strap it up for another rep. And I'm not saying you need to go out there and get crushed. But the way football's been vilified, it made me question, how do parents feel about martial arts? Because all the benefits they brag about martial arts. You sign your kid up for karate, jujitsu, judo, taekwondo. What happens in those classes? There's contact, people can get injured. I'd imagine there's some type of, I'm an MMA expert, by the way. I've been training martial arts my whole life, so my entire adult life. So I look around and I say, why isn't martial arts being outlawed or vilified? Why is it just football? And I was kind of bothered by California's stance, and I don't get political, but the stance of we want to glorify and spread flag football. That kind of bothered me only because we connotate flag football with females. There's girl flag football in high school. There's girl flag football everywhere. So now you want us to only play flag football, not tackle football, up until the age of 12. And out of nowhere, we're going to start seeing co-ed flag football. And now there's no differentiation between the two. And I saw you guys have a league, and I think you're starting girls tackle football. And I thought that was amazing. I can remember the first time I saw a girl high school wrestler. So if you guys are doing girls tackle
Unmute me.
football, I don't know if you're still doing that, but I thought it was remarkable.
Well, what we did is actually started here in Utah a couple years ago, and no, it's about 7 years ago. A former part of our organization here, he had a daughter who got like a million hits on YouTube and stuff, and he says, "Hey, we need a girls tackle football league." He started it, so he came to us a year ago, and we are continuing that on. We had a couple hundred girls playing football last year, 100 of them playing against each other, and 100 playing against the boys. So, but we have a flag or a sevens tournaments. We run 4 sevens tournaments. That's an entirely different game. That is training. That is teaching up. But when you put the pads on, something is learned. Those lessons are learned with the pads on. Everybody, as you've put it, looks good in shorts. But you really step up a notch and you decide who you are. And those lessons, not everybody's going to go to the NFL. Not everybody's going to go to the University of Utah or to Alabama or to Washington.
Yeah,
But these
I want
kids
to
are
tell you,
football players.
I agree completely. One thing I didn't talk about in my video, when I talked about the benefits of playing football, things like familiarization with the pads, how to take hits, how to prepare for things. The one thing I did not talk about is you learn how to fall. You learn how to avoid contact. and that being lowering a shoulder, protecting yourself from contact. If you've never put on pads and you get to high school for the very first time, when you're much bigger, stronger, faster, and somebody's coming at you like a freight train and you don't know how to prepare for that blow because it's your first time ever putting on pads, it might be the last day you ever wear pads. I know that linebackers who've been playing since the age of 6, 7, 8 years old are going to eat your lunch money. Like they're going to eat your lunch, take your lunch money, whatever I wanted to say there. But I mean that you need to learn how to protect yourself, and that can only be done with the pads being on. There's a certain ringing that's going to happen in your head. Yes, helmets when they collide, it is not a nice thing, but it is something you need to be exposed to well before you have the inertia and the momentum to really cause harm. I don't think too many players can really crush one another if there's weight divisions, age divisions, and it's kind of partitioned for safety. I think you're just fine. As long as you're having sensible practice standards and not doing Oklahoma drills anymore, some of those archaic drills we used to do. I know we're all guilty of it and we all came up from it. We look back on it and we're kind of, it's our badge of honor, but I wouldn't want to put my kids through it, and I get that. But to take away my right to give my child that experience is very problematic for me. I felt some type of way about it.
And so, an organization like ours, we've taken those drills away. We limit the amount of contact you can have. I mean, we design practice plans. You've got air, you've got thud, you've got, live. There's different ways to teach. And the country's doing this. For the most part, you don't have coaches out there beating kids' heads into the ground to where they want to quit. It's about teaching the kids to learn to love the game in a respectful, engaging manner. And that's what it's about. And as long as you have weight limits, we have weight limits. Our biggest thing is, we have weight limits. We have kids that can't run the football, but keeping kids in age groups. This reclassification thing is a big, big problem. We're now seeing it down into the 3rd and 4th grade, reclassing kids. They haven't even hit puberty yet. Yeah. And they're reclassing kids. That is not healthy. I don't think it's healthy in the high school level. I don't think it's healthy anywhere, if you want my opinion.
Well, I'll tell you, there are some parents who strategize accordingly. I know my father did not strategize. I was 16 years old my senior year of high school, playing with 19-year-olds, and I thought, man, in 3 years, I'm going to be better than everybody. But I wasn't quite physically developed like everyone else. And I regretted that. So I know that when my children were of age, I said, we're not starting kindergarten until they're 5 or 6. And that's what people started doing with these reclassifications. They wanted to get a physical advantage, right? They wanted them to be shaving in middle school or have their puberty and their growth spurt in the 6th and 7th grade as opposed to, the 8th and 9th grade. It's those advantages that they're looking for. I don't mind the parents looking for advantages. What really bothers me is when you try to take away freedom of choice. That's it. When I look at hockey, you can't play hockey without skates. You need to be able to skate. And we can't say, well, you're going to play hockey up until this age because if you start skating, it might cause these types of injuries or you might get too fast. Now, they did outlaw checking until you're a certain age, but hockey in itself is a very dangerous sport. Nobody's trying to outlaw youth hockey. It's just tackle football because it's such a shining object that you can go out and win. And if I give you the truth, the only reason youth tackle football in California came out and won is because someone's worried about re-election, not necessarily worried about what parents think and what we value. That's problematic for me as well.
Rico, I can't thank you enough for lending your voice to ours. We are so excited to have this association. We may reach out to you again in the future, but we love this. People, Rico knows on TikTok and on X, and then you can follow him from there to Patreon. Hey, this is Jeff Gorange. We are in the trenches, and this is 2024, and we're out.